All right. Well, thank you for your patience. That was a wonderful segment with Pastor Nix. And we're just going to move to our next segment. We have joining us one of my friends, and he's been on In the Upper Room before. We have Mr. Pat Gibbs back in the house.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm blessed, sir.
Right,
How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Always good to see you, Pat.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a fan of your work, Pat, and I know that you're going to tell the people at home what you've been up to, but some of the things that you have done have really basically spoken for me.
Thank you.
How I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with your being a writer,
Mm-hmm.
You've told my story several times, whether you know it or not. And you know, what some people consider controversial or something that they would rather not think about or talk about, I respect the fact and I enjoy the fact that you and I, we talk about some of those things.
Yes, indeed.
You know?
Yes, indeed. That is what I hope to get out there now with two of the books that I've recently published.
All right.
The first one, of course, I got to talk about is A Visit with Uncle Richard.
Right.
I'm sure you're really familiar with.
Man, come on, I'm
I
a fan of Uncle Richard.
I know that.
And Bubby.
Now, yeah, Uncle Richard and Bubby. Now, Uncle Richard, I do in honor of my Uncle Richard, who, for all intents and purposes, my grandfather is actually my grandmother's brother-in-law.
Okay.
This was a cat that taught me how to cuss and fish and spit. You know, the important things a boy needs to know. He also taught me about our history.
Yes.
Which is one of the main things that I really point out, that his knowledge on our history was just unbelievable.
Off the chart.
Yeah, off the chart, just really off the chart. So in Uncle Richard, I talk about everything from politics to our current condition, and of course our history as far as the black press goes, which I think is which was the lifeblood of the civil rights movement.
Right.
Or the black press was.
Right.
It was the spine of the civil rights movement. Without the seed of communication,
yes.
it would not have happened.
Right.
And one of the things I talk about is things like Black Wall Street.
Yes.
So you learn things from Uncle Richard about our history that you probably wouldn't have learned in school.
Right.
And you may not have learned anywhere.
Right.
Okay? For instance, Black Wall Street was a community, probably the most successful self-contained black community in our history.
Right.
Okay. Which was destroyed in the 1920s, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And with that, I can segue into Organized Unity for Progressive Revolution, which is my second book. Both these books, by the way, are available on Amazon.com, or you can reach me.
Yeah.
Organized Unity for Progressive Revolution, I'd call it the blueprint.
Yes.
Okay. And what's happened is, in our community, I look at our condition. I'm a community researcher as well,
right,
under the leadership of Dr. Payne from the University of Delaware.
Right.
One of the things that we talk about is the fact that we've lost our sense of village. You all heard the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It truly does.
It does. It really does. Well, with integration, along with the structural violence which is still in place,
right,
we have lost our sense of village.
Let me comment on that. First of all, you know, I want to say something. This program here in the Upper Room, Pat, has been blessed by so many people. I want to thank a friend of this program. When you talk about the village, I want to talk about a very important voice in our village, and that's Pastor Derek Johnson. Pastor D has given so much to this community. And a lot of people act like they don't appreciate it, and they may not understand where he's coming from. But I believe that when you do things from the heart, everybody's not going to understand because you haven't packaged it a certain way. It doesn't look like what folks recognize. But you know what? Those who need it, they recognize it. And I appreciate you, Pastor D.
Okay. Well, like I said, there's this thing where we have really lost our sense of village. You and I were probably the last generation to really come up in the village. Okay? And what that means is that the adults in the neighborhood, the older people in the neighborhood, even the older kids in the neighborhood, looked out for the next generation coming along.
Right.
Okay? And we really lost our sense of that. With the loss of that, we've also lost our economic base.
Yes.
We've also lost our love for education and knowledge.
Right.
Okay. I look at the fact that in Wilmington, the dropout rate is at 65%.
Yeah,
that's pretty rough. We have sections of Wilmington, for instance, in South Ridge.
Yeah.
The dropout rate last year was 100%. 100%. So with writing Organized Unity as the blueprint, my ideal is to give us back that sense of village.
Right.
And I hope that our people grasp that. By the way, the books are doing well.
All right. Let's see. Oh, A Visit with Uncle Richard.
Yeah.
And this one here, Organized Unity for Progressive Revolution, Patrice F. Gibbs. This brother, Patrice F. Gibbs. I was so blessed to meet you when I was working downtown because, like I said, you've told my story. And those of you who are not familiar, you got to get this book, especially A Visit with Uncle Richard, because it's more than what it seems. And this one here, Organized Unity, you guys got to experience this, because you tell quite a story, Pat.
Yeah, I try to. One of the people that bought my book, I didn't even know the lady did. She came up to me, saw me on the street, said, "You're him. I actually met the author. This is him." That didn't do my ego any harm at all.
Yeah.
And she said that Uncle Richard made her laugh.
Yeah.
Uncle Richard made her cry.
Right.
And Uncle Richard made her think.
Right.
And that hit home for me.
Yeah. It's so funny though that you would say that, because people come up to me all the time on the street and they go, "You're with Shauna." I go, my name's Michael. They go, "Yeah, you're him. You're that guy that sits beside Shauna." So I'm getting this.
Yeah, I feel you, because some people call me Uncle Richard. You're the Uncle Richard. Yeah,
but you know what? I'm so honored, and we're getting the wrap-up signal. So what I'm going to do is, on behalf of my co-host Shauna Easter, who is the heart and soul of this program, we're going to get ready to wrap up. And stay tuned for the Congo Hour coming up next. This is Michael Riley.